Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. I am Nadia Afroz. I'm a student of Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, BSMRAU. And today, I welcome you to attend our workshop, The Art of Writing Science. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending our workshop and for your kind cooperation. I would like to thank our honorable keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Tofazzal Islam sir, for giving his valuable time. I think we all can increase our knowledge and skill and experience in writing side. So now I would like to request you, sir, to start your valuable speech.
Thank you, Nadia Afroz, for welcoming all of the participants. And I also cordially welcome all of the participants to today's talk on the art of writing science. And I'm very much encouraged as well as inspired by seeing lots of participants from different disciplines, even from different countries. I can see is Ashifur Rahman Shaun, our former student. He is now working in Germany. He was a very good student and did masters, probably masters or PhD in Korea, now working in Bonn. Ashifur Rahman Shaun, can you tell us something? You are mute. Shaun, can you hear us? And it would be very nice if everyone please spend few seconds to introduce yourself, just your name, your affiliation. That would be very great. Then I can understand who are attending the program. Please start Dr. Shamim first.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So I'm Shamim Hassan. I work as a postdoctoral researcher at University of Bonn. And in Bangladesh, I am working at Haji Mohammad Daner Science and Technology University as associate professor in the Department of Plant Pathology. And I am very pleased to be here with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shamim Hassan. Then Rabiul Kausar.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the participants, and I would also like to thank our honorable teacher, Professor Dr. Tofazzal Islam sir, for arranging such a beautiful workshop. Myself, AQM Rabiul Kausar, I'm currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Aquaculture, and I was the student of this university, and I am currently working with metagenomics of Hilsha fish. Thank you.
And Rabiul has been selected for Commonwealth Scholarship for doing PhD at University of Nottingham. So he has started his work from here, and hopefully by the year 2021, he will be in UK. And next,
congratulations.
Thank you, Islam.
Thank you, sir, and all of other participants. I am MD Saiful Islam, MSc student, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University.
Great. Next, please one by one continue your introduction.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Abu Naim Muhammad Mujahid. I am a master's student of IBGE. Thank you all.
Great. Next.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Abdullah Mahbub Rahat. I'm a student, Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, BSMRAU.
Next.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello, assalamu alaikum. first, I express my gratitude to the organizer for arranging such an opportunity and opportunity for me. And I am from Bangladesh Agriculture Research Institute and working as a scientific officer in Department of Plant Pathology.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Sanjay Kumar Pal, a PhD student of Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, BSMRAU. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity for us.
Thank you, Sanjoy. Next. Just unmute yourself and.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum. I am Jannatul Mawa. Currently, I am pursuing my MS degree from Sheribang Agriculture University under Department of Plant Pathology.
Excellent.
Assalamualaikum. I am Abdullah.
Thank you, everyone.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
I'm Abdullah Asaduzaman. I am from Independent University, Bangladesh, IUB. I am in my final year of undergraduate from the Department of Microbiology, and I was introduced to this culture of publication by Dr. Rashid Noor, and also you. I have also heard a lot about you from Dr. Rashid Noor, and today is the reason. That is why I'm actually coming to this whole art of writing science. I'm really interested of what I'm going to see today. I'm really interested. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Dr. Rashid Noor is a brilliant researcher and a very smart guy. I love him very much. Thank you. Next.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Myself, Raihan Firdaus.
From which institute? Okay, next.
Assalamualaikum. I am Naimatul Jinan. I am pursuing my master's degree from Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering in Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University.
Thank you, Jinan. Next.
Thank you, sir.
Assalamualaikum. This is Rubayat Islam. I'm pursuing my MS degree from Sheribang Agricultural University in Plant Pathology.
Excellent. Next.
Assalamualaikum. I am MD Forshad Dewan. I'm doing masters from agriculture department in Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agriculture University.
Excellent. Next. Please move faster on. Next.
Assalamualaikum. I am Maliha Anjum and I am doing my master's in fisheries technology and I am from Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University. Thank you.
Great, welcome. Next.
Assalamualaikum. I am Afsana Tamima. I am doing my master's in Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University.
Okay, welcome. Next.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Yes.
This is Kabir from Bangladesh Bangladesh Wheat and Maize Research Institute, Rezaul Kabir. And
Dr.
I'm very much
welcome.
I'm very much pleased to see the bunch of scholars, young scientists around you. So I cannot stop myself, abstain from the joining to this workshop. So I'm
yes,
here
I am
just
also
to
very much encouraged. Dr. Rajaul Kabir, he is a very outstanding researcher. I hope you can also contribute during the discussion session. Most welcome. Next.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Assalamualaikum. I am Dr. Mahmoud Raihan, working as postdoctoral fellow at Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering in Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University.
Thank you, Dr. Mahmouda. Next.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Ali Arman Ador. I'm master's student of Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, and I completed my graduation from Faculty of Fisheries at Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University. Thank you.
Welcome, Ali Arman Ador. Next.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Fatima and I am studying Masters in Biotechnology in Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University under the supervision of Professor Dr. Tofazzal Islam, sir.
Thank you, Fatima. Next.
Good afternoon. I am Mohammad Shabab Mehboob, working as a algae scientist in Energa Bangladesh Limited. Formerly, I worked with Dr. Tofazzal Islam in his lab, and thank you for organizing this workshop.
Excellent, Shabab. Next. Next.
Assalamu alaikum. I
Yeah.
am Mohammad Samiul Haq. I am studying in Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering from Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University.
Excellent. Samuel, next.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Ghulam Mahbub Faisal, a DBM third year candidate from Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science in BSMRAU. And thank you very much to Tofazzal Islam sir for giving me the chance to participate in this nice session. Thank you, sir.
It is brilliant. From third year to, postdoc, big range, and seasoned scientists also are attending here. Very nice. Next.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Ifratun Noor. Currently, I am working as a senior lecturer in the Department of Microbiology, Stanford University, Bangladesh.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Next.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Moinuddin Mithu. Currently, I am the final year student in the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science in Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University.
Excellent, Mithu. Welcome. Next.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone left?
Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Mehdi Hassan, currently pursuing a master's in biochemistry and molecular biology from Maulana Bhashani Science and Technology University, Tangai. And thank you, sir, for creating this opportunity.
Excellent. Welcome to today's workshop. Next. Anyone left? Okay. Then let me start. It is really very exciting for me to discuss with you and share some of my experiences on the art of writing science. The title is, many of the students asked me, writing science, is it really art or not? So through my, I shall show some of the slides to you. But at this moment, I would like to request all of you to mute yourself so that no noise can affect you. First, I shall show you to start writing. You have to do something before. That means before writing, what you need to think, what you need to be prepared, or what you need to do. And then I shall tell you the step-by-step process that I follow to write a paper for international journal. Either it is a basic research or it is a review article. After my talk, I will expect your participation and interact with you for even learning something from the participant also. I am, in fact, very excited from the day before yesterday because you know that chemistry Nobel Prize 2020 owned by two researchers for their discovery on genome editing, that is CRISPR-Cas9. So today's lecture I would also like to dedicate for them because we are also working on the same line. So things to do before writing your manuscript. I would like to share some of my thought. I hope it would be helpful for the young researcher, even a seasoned researcher. Before I start the academic talk, I would like to congratulate the winners of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2020, the Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna. Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna, actually I know them since 2012 by their one publication in Science. They published a paper, a programmable dual RNA guided DNA endonuclease in adaptive bacterial immunity. That was a landmark paper, and by publishing that paper, they received the recognition of the highest, prize, the Nobel Prize in chemistry. And this is why you can easily understand, publishing science is very, very crucial and important. And if you have time, please go through this paper. I went through this paper several times because since 1997, I'm a regular reader of Weekly Science and Nature. And very interestingly, when wheat blast hit Bangladesh, the first outbreak of wheat blast we experienced in 2016. At that time, after the discovery of the origin of wheat blast by using field pathogenomics, through a big international collaboration and practicing open science and open data sharing. At that time, it was a big story in different media, including the popular media as well as in the scientific media. And because the wheat blast is really a fearsome disease, and it attacked our second major food crop, wheat. When I was delivering a talk at Bangladesh Agricultural Research Council in April 2016, probably I'm sure Dr. Rajaul Kabir also there. At that time, the big question was, how can we address the wheat blast? Because wheat is a hexaploid crop, and breeding a blast resistance against the wheat blast takes time, and it is very complicated. At that time, the resistance sources were not enough available to the world. So I proposed the application of CRISPR-Cas9 genome editing technology to edit the genome of wheat to get the blast resistant new variety. At that time, it was a blue sky, and for me, when I thought to start the work, the big challenge was to get the detailed protocol, because the paper published by Jennifer and Emmanuel, in that paper in materials and methods, the description was very brief. This is why at that time I thought if we could get the detailed book of the CRISPR-Cas methods developed in different organisms, that would be great. And this is the book we published in 2020, that is this year, and the first volume is now like a hot cake, because CRISPR-Cas, this method, for the discovery of this method, scientists got the Nobel Prize. The second volume is now under process of preparation and editing. So if you need this book, a soft copy, please personally request me, I can offer you. And this book is just like step-by-step process developed by different scientists all over the world on CRISPR-Cas methods, not only in plant but also in other organisms. I initially told you that before publishing research, what you need to do. Think about why you want to publish your work? This is the most important question should be in your mind, and whether it's publishable. Whether it's publishable, it's a big question, and it's a bit risky question, because as a researcher who are a seasoned researcher and experienced in publishing paper can predict that it is publishable or not. For the young researcher, it is tough. But obviously, any manuscript, if you want to publish in a peer-reviewed journal, international journal, it must contain some value. Either it is review article or it is an original research. So writing a paper starts well in advance of the actual writing. That means before writing, before the start of writing a paper, you should incubate something in your mind, and you need to have a blueprint. You must need to think about why you want to publish your work at the beginning of your research. That means you have to go back. When you start a research, at that time, you have to think whether you are going to publish or you want to discover something valuable information, and what kind of manuscript you can generate from the research. So you have to read the relevant journals and get a picture what kind of data you need to collect, and in what way you need to analyze, and all other things. So when you question your hypothesis, because in any research you need to define a hypothesis. Hypothesis, I shall discuss later on what is hypothesis. Hypothesis means some assumption you may assume. For example, when Emmanuel and Jennifer, they found that the CRISPR-Cas is a molecular scissor. Bacteria use that scissor in their cell to protect themselves from the attack of virus, because virus infect the bacteria, because virus cannot multiply its DNA or RNA, because virus can be DNA virus or RNA virus. Virus particle is coated with protein, and then they cannot multiply themselves. They need a host. So sometimes they use bacteria and archaea as host. They penetrate and then they use the transcription and translation machinery of the bacterial cell. And if bacteria survive, they takes evolutionary process, some segment of the viral DNA to memorize that similar virus. If infect, then they can recognize, and they develop the CRISPR-Cas molecular scissor, and they cut the invading viral DNA or RNA. As a result, virus cannot use them as victim for replicating their cell. For example, coronavirus when infect us, the virus is a RNA, single-stranded RNA virus, and they use our cellular machinery for their replication. So this molecular scissor, Emmanuel, she published in 2011 as a defense mechanism of virus. But when she met with Jennifer actually a powerful RNA researcher on RNA. So they discussed in a meeting, and that thought differently whether they can use that molecular scissor for the benefit of mankind. So the hypothesis was the CRISPR-Cas molecular scissor could be used in editing the desired part of the DNA. So this is like hypothesis, and then they tested the hypothesis through different experiment, and finally in the test tube they were able to prove that the DNA, any DNA in the specific location can be cut by using a designed guide RNA coupled CRISPR-Cas system. and finally they publish the paper. So hypothesis is important because when you, for example, you do some treatment on any plant, for example, you apply a bio molecule like chitosan, and you hypothesize that if based on hypothesis is obviously based on the knowledge on that subject, previous knowledge. So based on previous knowledge, we know that chitosan is a biopolymer and bioactive compound. So you may hypothesize that chitosan can induce systemic resistance in the plant to protect themselves from the attack of the pathogen, like that. So chitosan can protect the plants from the attack of particular pathogen, for example, a particular fungus. So you can hypothesize that, and then you apply the chitosan in different treatment into the plant under certain condition, and then challenge the pathogen and see whether the chitosan can protect themselves or not, the plants from the fungus or not, and you must keep some control so you can compare it. So hypothesis is like that. Based on the hypothesis, any research, you need a hypothesis, solid hypothesis, and hypothesis should be novel and based on the previous knowledge. And then based on the, to test the hypothesis, you do some experiment and maybe several experiments to prove a single hypothesis, and you achieve some data. So you need to check then if the hypothesis and the survey or experiment design are publishable. This is very important. If hypothesis may be correct or hypothesis may be wrong, but if you do the systematically the research, then you would generate some data where you can find some novelty. Anyway, you need to ask yourself some questions. Have I done something new and interesting before writing a paper? Because you have the data and you need to ask yourself whether you did something new. What are the novelty of your findings? You must identify it clearly. How can you do it? You can search the literature and see whether by using different keywords, whether your information is new or not, what is adding to the subject, a new value adding to the subject, and why it is interesting. Is there anything challenging in my work? This is very important question also. Is my work related directly to a current hot topic, for example, CRISPR-Cas or any other climate change? There are lots of hot topics. So these are the point, before writing a paper, you have to consider, because you will focus this, answer of these questions in your paper so that it would be convincing for publishing in a peer-reviewed journal. Have I provided solutions to some difficult problem? Because sometimes, in research, we address a question which is a big question. For example, salinity is a big problem. So if you develop a technology which can solve the problem by through research, then it is a solution. So solution can be very tiny problem you can solve by your data, and that would be also give the value of your work. So if all answers are yes, then you can start preparation for your manuscript. So you have to pinpoint answer of these questions. If any of these responses are no, you can probably submit your paper to a local journal or one with lower impact factor. That means I asked you 4 questions. In most cases, you will see you would not get answer, yes for all the 4 questions. If you get yes for all the 4 questions, you can probably prepare a paper for a very high ranked or high impact factor journal. Otherwise, you can publish the paper if you get even a single one yes, then you can publish a paper in obviously peer-reviewed journal, because in the world there are more than 20,000 journals. Those are listed in the ISI that means have some impact factor. And I suggest you not to publish any paper in the predatory journal which are not, which are considered, how to say, garbage or rubbish. Question asked by reviewers before accepting a manuscript, it is also important because you have to be prepared to answer this question. Does the paper contain sufficient new material? Reviewer, when you review a paper, you must look at these answer of these questions in a manuscript. Is the topic within the scope of the journal? This is a very critical because if you write a paper, if it contains novel information, very interesting, but if it is not submitted to a right journal, then it would not be published. So you have to choose a right journal. This is also a very important point. To target a right journal, read several papers of that journal and design your paper and prepare your paper strictly following the instructions to the author of that particular journal. Is it presented concisely and well organized? This is very important. Reviewer always see because writing science, I told you, and art, I shall tell you more detail in other slides, because writing science is expression of a scientific mind, like expression of an art, like Leonardo da Vinci's art or Picasso's art, like that. So for example, you and we all know Bangla language, but we cannot write a poem like Rabindranath Tagore or other poet Shamsur Rahman. Although we know the language, we understand their their poems, but we cannot write it. So writing is an art. Science writing obviously an art, and it should be writing very briefly and lucid way. Like a storytelling is really challenging, and it needs practice. It needs reading lots of papers. So reviewer obviously see whether you have written the paper very concisely in an intelligent fashion and whether it is well organized. Are the methods and experiments presented in the way that they can be replicated again? This is very, very crucial, because any methods we are including in the journal manuscript should be written in a way so that other scientists can replicate it very easily. But in most cases, it is very difficult because of limited space in the journal. So anyway, reviewer will check whether every technical details you included in the materials and methods or not. Are the results presented adequately? This is important. The result adequately presented or not. Is the discussion relevant, concise, and well documented? The most crucial part of a manuscript is the discussion. If we read the discussion part of a manuscript, we can easily understand the level of the scientist, because it is a very critical part where you tell the novelty of your work, value of perspective of your work, and also you indicate the future research, that means knowledge gaps or future direction of the research. So this is very, very important area. Are the conclusions supported by the data presented? This is very important. The data generated by you, whether the conclusion you made is really supported by your own data or not. Is the language acceptable? This is also very important. Language, but if a person is a native English speaker, cannot write a scientific article, and if you are a non-native speaker, does not matter. Science writing, I told you, an art, and there are some orthodox rules also in case of writing science. So not you would not get freedom like a poet or a how to say composer gets the freedom. Here there are some specific language for writing the science. All figures and tables adequate and well designed. These are very, very important, because when you get the data, you need to make tables, figures, and other way you present the data. The standard of the figures and tables is very important. So you must read many papers from the target journal to understand the standard of their presentation as figure and tables, and obviously they should be very easy to understand, and you have to design in a way. And you cannot use same data in the figure and tables. So there's duplication is not at all allowed. So if data is easy to understand by the readers, if you use a figure, then use the figure, otherwise the tables, and obviously the statistical information you must mention. Are all references cited in the text included in the reference list? Because in the text you cite the references, and all the references you have to list at the end. And writing reference also very critical, because every journal has their own style. You have no freedom to use same style for all the journals. So decide what type of the manuscript to write. Full articles, original articles are the most important papers. For example, full articles or original articles. Often they are substantial completed piece of research that are of significance or original research. But there are some letters or rapid communication, short communication, which are usually published for the quick or early communication of significant and original advances of the particular discipline. So letters does not mean that simply a letter. It must contain some new information which rapidly should be communicated to the your peer groups of other researchers. They are much shorter than the full articles, usually short and strictly limited in size. In journal, for example, 1,500 words or like that, depending on the journal, one figure or one table or like that. Review papers or perspective articles summarizes recent development on a specific hot topic. For example, review article. In famous journal, most of the review article, they updates the current understanding of the particular topic in a how to say storytelling way from the beginning to the current state of the art of the knowledge, as well as to pinpoint the knowledge gap where future research is necessary, and obviously to focus the perspective how all the new discoveries can be utilized for the mankind, and what also suggest new directions of the research. Perspective article actually, for example, CRISPR-Cas, when the paper was published in Science by Emmanuel and Jennifer, then in Science there were a small perspective article. Perspective article describes the meaning and significance of that discovery. For example, in the perspective article, scientists describe the potential areas of the use of CRISPR-Cas, agriculture or medical science or other areas like that. So perspective article actually in most cases invited. Review article also most cases invited. Seasoned scientists, those who have significant contribution to a particular area are invited to write the review articles or perspective articles, but it is not limited. In lower ranked journal, you can even propose a perspective article or review article, and if they find the meaning and interesting, then they can accept it. So these two articles summarize recent developments on a specific hot topic, highlighting important points that have previously been reported and introduce no new information actually. Normally, they are submitted on invitation by the editor of the journal, I told you. Step 3, choose the target journal. This is obviously very critical. Not only consider the impact factor, your work, the nature of your work, and the scope of the journal. If you know, these two things do not match well, then there is a high risk of rejection. So a common question is how to select the right journal for your work. And do not gamble by scattering your manuscript to many journals at the same time. No way. It is strictly prohibited. You cannot submit your paper in too many journals, one more journal, because it is totally unethical just to gamble where it will be accepted or not. So you have to submit a single journal which fits well with your work, and the scope of the journal should be carefully checked. Only submit once and wait for response of the editor and reviewers. The most common way of selecting the right journal is to look at the articles you have consulted to prepare your manuscript. Read every recent publications in each candidate journal, even in press, and find out the hot topics and the types of articles accepted. Also consider the high rejection rate of the journals. Nature, Science, Lancet, Cell, more than 90% articles are rejected. In 2020, we submitted a paper to Nature, Weekly Nature. 36 authors, we wrote a paper on the mobilizing crop biodiversity, and we submitted to Nature. It was reviewed, fortunately, but Nature rejected it, and Nature mentioned that more than 97% of their submitted paper rejected. It does not mean that your paper has no value. What they suggested, instead of accepting our paper, although all reviewers were positive, the editorial board suggested us to publish the paper in Molecular Plant, and they offered us, if we agree with them, then there will be no review. Review of the Nature were considered in Molecular Plant, and we agreed, and that journal has 10.08 impact factor. We recently published it. You can browse in the net and you can find it. So if your research is not very challenging, focus in more humble journals with lower impact factor, because it depends on the quality of your paper, obviously. Pay attention to journal requirements in the guide for the authors. Yes, every journal has, instructions to the authors. So you have to follow, go to the web page and download the guide for the authors and strictly follow it, print out it, and read the guidelines again and again so that you can follow all the instructions. You must apply the guide for authors to your manuscript, and you must know that all editors hate wasting time on poorly prepared manuscript. You must know that all editors hate wasting time on poorly prepared manuscript, because editors, they are big guys, and their time is highly valuable. So before you submit, you have to strictly follow the guide to the authors. So pay attention to the structure of the paper. More and more journals have new types of structure for their articles. So it's crucial to consult the guide to the authors I told you. A section that enables indexing and searching the topics, making the paper informative, attractive, and effective. So it consists of the title, the authors, the abstract, and keywords. These are the introductory section of the paper. A section that includes the main text, which usually divided into introduction, methods, results, discussion, and conclusion. That means IMRAD, usually paper is structure is like that, but there are some differences depending on the journal. A section that includes the acknowledgement, references, supplementary materials. Nowadays, some of the less important materials but valuable are included as supplementary materials. That means not included in the printed paper, but link is given and it is published as online. So the general structure of a full article follows the IBGE format. That means introduction, materials and method, results, and discussion. So introduced as a standard by the American National Standards Institute in 1979, which responds to the question below. That means introduction, what did you or others do? Why did you do it? In the introduction, the answer of these questions should be described well. And in methods, how did you do it? And results, what did you find? And the discussion, what does it all mean? It all means the findings you generated through the research. What does it mean? The meaning, value, novelty, or the impact, or the perspectives you have to discuss, and how your data or finding is different from the previous literature, or how they are related to the previous literature. Science is a successive development of scientific discovery. So scientific publication is like to make a building, one by one we use the brick. So the whole mass of knowledge is like that. So your paper should add something new to the big volume or total body of the knowledge. So understand publication ethics. This is very, very important nowadays to avoid violation of ethical guidelines. One of the worst thing in science is plagiarism. That means to make copy from others. It is not acceptable. Nowadays, every journal has the software. When you submit a paper, or even before you submit a paper, you can check the plagiarism, whether the story you wrote, it is copied from other journal, published literature or not. It must be, plagiarism level must be less than 15% or 10%. So you must rephrase it and change it so that it should not be considered as plagiarized. So plagiarism and stealing work from colleagues can lead to serious consequences, both professionally and legally, because it is an offense. If someone plagiarized and somehow published a paper in the international journal mistakenly, nowadays there is no way, because all publisher has the plagiarism software. Then it is a big offense. Violation include data fabrication and falsification, improper use of human subjects and animal in research, and using another author's idea or wording without proper attribution. So if you want to use the statement of others or finding of others, you must use the give the credit to the author who first proposed it, or like that, or discovered it. So there you cannot use others' language, other statement as your own one, or even others' data or literature. It's also possible to commit ethics violations without intending to. Educational resources include publishing ethics resource kit from the Committee on Publication Ethics all over the world. Ethics in publication and research, available literatures are you can find in the website, and these are some of the examples. So in the developed country, every institute has the good governance of science. That means you cannot do any misconduct, and it is very big offense. Now I would like to conclude my this part of the talk. Cherish your own work. If you do not take care, why should the journal cares. So you have to care, love your work, and dedicate yourself so that the paper you are going to submit is original, not only in data, but also in language, but also in expression, and it should be an original piece of art. There is no secret recipe for success, just some simple rules, dedication, and hard work. There is no shortcut. All the scientists, they are dedicated, the big scientists, and you must do hard work, no shortcut. Editors and reviewers are all busy scientists, just like you, make things easy to save them time. And hence, if you are ready to learn more about preparing a manuscript, look for the next articles in this series, and have a good luck. So these are the some important advices or points that you need to consider before writing a paper. And I shall move another slide with a little pause, because if I talk continuously, and if I ignore your participation, then it would not be interactive. So please ask me some of the question, and then I shall share some other slides which would be surely interesting to you. So please ask me some of the question. And make this workshop really workshop, otherwise just like a lecture. So I am expecting some comment or sharing some experience, because here there are some researchers like Dr. Rajaul, Dr. Shamim. They are really seasoned researchers, and there are some other members also here. Some are very new in this area. So even undergrad students are also involved in this workshop, participating here. So please ask a question. Please ask very freely. Any type of question is welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Perhaps
I can, yeah, I can start. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your nice stepwise presentation, and to give an insight how to structure a scientific article. So I have, sir, a general question that all of us who start writing a scientific article, we suffocate mostly in writing the discussion part. So I was interested to know if you have a little bit more insight how to improve the discussion part.
Excellent. This is really challenging part. Dr. Shamim rightly mentioned. Writing a paper, in many young scientists ask me, from where should I start? Whether I start from the title, or whether I start from the result, whether I start from the introduction. This type of question people ask. And obviously, in most cases, when I review a paper, I find the difficulty in writing the discussion. Yes, in writing the discussion, there are some, policy. You can first, up to the result when you complete, then take a small pause and, find out the important finding in your research. So what you need to do, make some bullets. What is the novelty of your work? What new information you are going to add to the science? So some bulleted point and sequentially. So first what I do, first I write a brief summary of the whole findings, and then state what is the novelty. For example, this is the first discovery of editing, simply or precisely editing of any DNA by using our tool like CRISPR-Cas or like that. First para should be like that. But most of the scientists, I found they make the mistake. They tell some general, review of literature at the beginning, general knowledge. For example, rice is a staple food, and it supplies this percentage of calories. And in Bangladesh, 80% people are eating rice. Or this story. These are very boring. No need, because all the staffs are people know it. So tell very precisely what you have got through a systematic research, and very briefly claim the novelty of your work, and tell that previously these things have been known after your statement, and then piece by piece you tell your story. For example, your story contains at least 3 or 4 information. So you tell, for example, some of the information may be just confirmation of the previous finding. So you say in our research we found this response by this treatment, which is fully agree with the previous findings published by these researchers. Fine, it is also in science important. But if all of your finding is just confirmation of the previous finding, no good journal will publish it. So you have to find out the very interesting findings and tell the hallmark, or one of the interesting finding of my research is that this nematode can be controlled by this way, or communicate to the plant through this particular receptor, or like that. And then you say previously the plant and nematode interaction have been described in many literature, but this is the first report of identification or characterization of a particular receptor which participates in interaction between the specific nematode and the plant. So this is very valuable information, and you must focus in your paper this type of novelty. And then in the end of the discussion, the value of your work. You say in our research we did this job which raises a question that what is the next step. Further, these molecular studies or gene sequencing or other ways are necessary further research to do and shed light on the precise mechanism of this part or like this. So in the discussion, if you tell the story like this way, I'm sure the reviewer would be impressed and accept your paper. And reviewer always underline what is the selling point of your research, why journal should publish it. Very nice question.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I have then more insight of the same question, that sometimes our findings show some agreement with some previous findings, and also have some disagreement with some published literature. Which point should I bring first, and then which should I
this is very important question, because when you write the result, which result you should tell first, because some are agreement with the previous finding, or some are brand new information. So yes, first in any result section, first tell the new information. Never say control treatment showed this one and our treatment gave this one. Tell first the the new information to the your audience, and then tell others information which is less important. So in case of disagreement, you are right. In case of disagreement with the previous all findings, to convince the reviewer really challenging. Disagreement means, you are challenging the previous findings, previous publication. So it is really, really very challenging. In that case, you need to do your research using several methods, so that you say, by using this method, we found this finding which is completely disagreement with the previous finding. That means our one is new, and we then verified this finding by using this method, gene sequencing and other techniques, classical as well as advanced techniques, and in all cases we found the consistent findings, and we considered that the previously reported findings are not the fact. You do not sell exactly like this way, but very polite way you say like this way, because we published a paper in phytopathology. Around 20 people in USA, they, by using 400 genome sequences, they developed 2 primers for detecting wheat blast fungus. But when we tested in our laboratory, we found that rice blast, wheat blast, both are amplified. That means it is a meaningless discovery, and it is very, problematic, useless. Then we communicated with the authors, because your method didn't work in our laboratory. They became so angry. They send all the research material, or your machine or some other things may be problematic. We are perfect or like that. But what we did the same experiment in 3 independent labs. One our lab, then another lab in USA, UK, another lab in Switzerland, and in all cases we found that their method is faulty. And then what we did, we made a publication, like language you see in scientific language is different. Cautionary note on the use of primer MOT3 for the discrimination of rice and wheat blast. Very soft way. We told them your discovery is false, and our one was peer reviewed. After peer review, the editor shared the our paper with the previously published authors and asked them for their reaction, and finally our one was published. So this type of disagreement can be happen, because sometimes we claim a fact, but it is not fact due to many reasons, instrument, environment, many reasons. It may be an artifact. Artifact means it is somehow something wrong, not the new discovery. New discovery must be replicated by anyone from anywhere using the same method. A very nice question. Any other?
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I have a question that we everybody know that usually and always hear that about the plagiarism. That plagiarism is one kind of crime. So whenever I want to write a paper, I have to search many of the literature, and I have to collect some information from that literature. So when I write in my own manuscript, how can I put that information without any plagiarism?
Yeah, this is a very nice question. First, when you make a draft, you have to rephrase every sentence. In a paper, we tell a story. So it is a statement of the author. So if you want to use similar sentence or similar phrases, you need to rephrase a little bit so that directly you do not use the same sentence. So it is an art. You have to do the practice to avoid the plagiarism. And after reducing the plagiarism during writing, you have to edit and edit and edit your paper to make it your own story. And then you use the software and see how much plagiarism still exists, and then target. For example, you can change the word by using a different synonym. For a word, there are lots of synonyms. So you can change the synonym, and you can, change the expression of the sentence. And this is really needs, practice as well as, as sensitivity, because you should be sensible that you are not directly copying others. So obviously you can borrow the sentence from others, but rephrase it. And this is a very nice question, and many scientists suffer from this problem initially. But once you are habituated in writing lots of paper, then you can, when you have the data, you can fluently write the paper. So in that case, you need to read lots of paper in that subject and do practice, edit. Every morning when you see your paper, you can make it more polished, like, polishing. Polishing is a very important job. So first draft may be hugely plagiarized, don't worry. And by polishing, you can remove the, this fault. And I hope it needs hard work, and you can do it. Mujahid Muaz, you raised the hand.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
So thank you, sir, for your very informative and encouraging talk. We are very motivated to jump into the writing of science, sir. But I have two specific questions in my mind. That if, firstly, what is the difference between review article and the primary or basic article, sir? So, and secondly, I have another question that when I start writing, then I have first I have to choose a specific publisher or specific journal. So when I get rejected from that journal, then how can I change, or how can I manage to throw it another journal for publishing?
Okay, thank you. Your first question is review article and original research article. Original research article means based on a hypothesis. You did some experiment. For example, you are now trying to integrate two blast-resistant gene in our native variety. So you are getting the original data, and that when you make a story after several back crossing, that would be an original research article, because nobody did the same way, same environment, same thing, and it is a new information you will share with the community. So that would be the original research article. Review article means, for example, CRISPR-Cas. Jennifer and Emmanuel, they claim that this method can be used in every branch of biology. So if you check the literature and browse the databases and see how many papers have been published in plants, for example, editing the tropical plants. So you can prepare a manuscript like the genome editing of tropical plants by using CRISPR-Cas9 method. So you can compile all the literatures available on editing of tropical plants, and make a table or graph how many different crops have already been edited, what are the outcome, and what are the genes still remained in the tropical plants already discovered that could be edited. So you can make another table to suggest to further research, or like that. All scientific papers are small pieces of work, but review article, combine all the small pieces in a common story, and tell the audience the update of the science. So it is also very good job for the community, I think. And you mentioned that if one paper is rejected by a journal, how can you move to other journal because style is different? Yes, you have to polish the style only, but all other data and writing would be remain if you may need to rearrange a section or like that. So I will ask one more question and then go for second lecture, because that one would be more exciting. So, participants, raise the hand. Dr. Rajaul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to cherish your effort. You have summarized so many things in a precise way, and it's really amazing for all the researchers. I think everybody will learn a lot from you. And yes, there is a famous saying, there is no free lunch in the world. Everybody has to work very hard, and there is no shortcut. This is very important for the scientist. So it's very difficult for make any comments. So I will not make any comments for your on your presentation, but I will supplement a couple of things, like for the co-authors. Even when we publish the paper, the co-authors sometimes they don't read the manuscript carefully. So this is very important, that when the first author who is writing, I mean not only the first author who is writing the manuscript, he should get his manuscript revised by his co-authors, by somebody else. Because when I am writing a paper, I am always, in a vicious cycle of my own thinking. So if I get it reviewed from my co-authors or somebody else, then only I can get the ideas. Where is my fault? Where is the challenges? Where I need to change? Where I need to focus on? This is one thing. And another, this is a query, like you mentioned about the hot cake. So there are some ongoing researches also not considering as hot cake, but they should also be published. So for those types of research, so we also need to publish. So yeah, we should take care of those topics also. And I have another query, like in review paper, is there any scope to put your new findings? What percentage that could be? Thank you for your nice presentation.
Excellent. Dr. Rajaul supplemented very important point. One is in case of co-authorship. Co-authorship, nowadays worldwide, there are some guidelines who should be the co-author. And obviously your paper needs to be read by the co-author. They need sufficient contribution as co-author. Otherwise, you can mention only in the acknowledgement. So this is very, very experienced, point he mentioned. In case of writing a paper of someone, is not, whatever the big scientist he is not the final. When other person is read co-author, then co-author can share his thought and find the even tiny error. This is a very, very important peer reviewing process. Why peer reviewing process by the blind reviewer? Because they are unbiased, and unbiasedly they see the science, whether it is reproducible, whether it is meaningful, and they not emotionally charged, because research are always has some emotion also. So science is not fact is not emotion. Fact is fact. So in that case, he rightly mentioned that every co-author should participate according to their role. Nowadays, in the manuscript, we have to mention specific role of the co-author, and this is a very important point. And Dr. Rajaul Kabir mentioned another point is that hot topic, all topics are not hot. Yes, it is right. All topic is not hot. That means not so popular or not so well discussed. Does not matter. But science always address something new associated with the existing problem, or to discover unknown something in the nature. So in your hypothesis, you have to focus its importance. Whether people all over the world people know it or not does not matter. So you to you this is an interesting question, otherwise you didn't do the research. So your interest, what was your interest? Honestly tell the fact and how it is associated with the natural phenomenon or associated with the practical problem. If you can establish that rationally in the introduction, and then you can focus the objective, and you can tell the story, not necessarily be a hot topic like CRISPR-Cas. Lots of journal are publishing the fundamental research. And your third question, in case of review article, some of the cases we use some new findings also, original data also. How much? This is really a tough question. It depends, because some of the emerging area, if small gap, knowledge gap is there between several discoveries, if you can fill the small gap by using small experiment and to tell the complete story, you can add the some small original data. Otherwise, if you have too many original data, why do you publish in the review article? In review article, sometimes to make it more attractive, you can use some original, for example, image or a figure for attractive, for making it attractive to the readers, so that because small piece of the research people are publishing in the original research, and you are telling the whole body of the story. In that case, small gaps, if you can fill up, or you add even known fact in a lucid diagram, or flow chart, or even a pathway, or maybe partly unknown, you can mention this part is unknown. You can add the value of the review article, because review article should add something new thought, new analysis, new interpretation, even new criticism in the subject. Because sometimes you can criticize if conflicting findings exist, which one is real fact. You can, by using your logical argument, you can establish it. I think Dr. Rajaul Kabir rightly mentioned some of the important point, and I try to respond to his question. Are you okay, Dr.
Thank
Rajaul
you very
Kabir?
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And you are working with CNET and many international scientists. You know the art of doing science. I am really
Yes. Thank
by
you.
your
Thank you.
presence, and obviously our student will be encouraged, and you are also our collaborator. Abdullah Asaduzzaman, last question. Then I shall tell you some of the fascinating basic things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this excellent presentation. So actually, you have answered a part of my question already when Dr. Rezaul he has spoken about the review article. You actually have answered a part of it. I just wanted to know, like research article, it's like a primary source, and there is a novelty to it. In case for review articles, you say we can criticize, we can add something new also. So for example, for an undergrad who wants to write a review article, what would be your go-to thing or your go-to advice? Like before writing a review article, how do you think that what is the main thing that the publisher is going to look that would make your review article stand out from other review articles, because for example, if I talk about COVID-19, there are many people giving review articles on COVID-19. So for example, if I want to go to some angle, so what would be my go-to angle for any research when it comes to review article? Because I think that we are not performing a specific, going to the lab or performing a research. So in that case, what is your thought, for example, for an
Excellent, excellent. I understood your question. Yes, writing a review article for an undergrad student or graduate student, what points should be considered? Yes, the most important is in that case, I suggest you to discuss with your supervisor or a seasoned researcher. Because for example, COVID-19, first you have to check how many review articles have already been published and what are their topics. And if you find some area is overlooked, not yet been published a review article. For example, the the efficacy of vaccine, or recycling of the medical waste, which may pose a threat to the spread of the COVID-19. So maybe there are small pieces of research already been done, but to focus this area, if you make a review article, it would, if there is no review, then it would add something new. And other thing is that in review article, you can add lots of your thought. You can even raise lots of question, research question, valid question based on the scientific background. So best idea for the young researcher to discuss with a seasoned researcher like your supervisor, and discuss with him, and he will guide you, nurture you to make the content of the research review article. First, you need to make a blueprint. For example, to make a big building, you need architect make a blueprint, design. So you have to design based on the review article available in the field. So you have to find your own gap. And so that there might be some overlapping, does not matter, but you have to, your review have to have some strength which has not been, reviewed before. And then you, gather the all available knowledges and obviously engage, connect to the, original findings of the subject, even not COVID related basic virology or others, and make a lucid story that might lead to further research, as well as give readers a broad view of the, the subject matter, as well as you critically think the findings. Some findings may have flaws, so you point out, raise the question, and those questions will be done by new hypotheses of the researchers through a different experiment. So review article, obviously, I think valuable job, and it is a community service. And doing review article, you will find lots of new ideas also, because you have to study a lot to, like a puzzle, in the puzzle, small pieces, you have to make the whole picture, or like that. So all the small pieces of the original research, once you want to make a whole story, you will find some of the gaps. So you tell, focus this gap, this gap, this gap, and it would help a researcher to do further research, find the new question in the subject matter. I think review article also useful, and young people, they have the ability to, their brain is very active, so they can coordinate and make the story based on the broken pieces of the different original research. So I also encourage young students to write the review. Most of the cases, review draft is prepared by the young researchers all over the world. Final brushing, making it, a high value, is done by the seasoned researcher. Thank you so much. So I would like to move, if you permit, I would like to move the second section. Yes, thank you so much. Actually, I was the outside of real lecture, that is the art of doing science and publishing discovery in high impact journal. High impact journal, for example, Science, Nature, PNS, Cell, there are lots of journals, you know. Outline, I shall tell you some concepts. Maybe you will get all those concepts in the video which is now recording. So you can, I will move a little bit faster, but you can repeat it and listen it, because I shall upload the lecture in my YouTube channel. So concept of science, research methods, and art of doing science, these concepts needs to be crystal clear for a young researchers. And impacts of published research is obviously very crucial to understand, and the art of science writing for high impact journal, the strategy, or the technique I follow, I shall share with you, and obviously some useful phrases in science writing. So science, you know all that the word science comes from the Latin word scientia, means knowledge, and science is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe. In modern uses, science most often refers to a way of pursuing knowledge. That means a way of generating new knowledge, because new knowledge is the raw material for development of new technology. For example, in case of COVID-19, after the identification of the virus, Chinese scientists did the whole genome sequencing. Within a week, scientists discovered the real-time PCR. And that method has been used all over the world in 213 countries, and saved huge life from these deadly pathogens. So it is a technology. PCR is a technology. Vaccine is coming as a technology based on the genome sequences, the original data. So science is obviously generate the knowledge, and knowledge is what is knowledge? Knowledge is a familiarity, awareness, or understanding of someone, something, fact, information, description. So it is quite broad, not so precisely you can define it. Plato, the great philosopher, he specifies that a statement must meet 3 criteria in order to be considered as knowledge. It must be justified, it must be true, it must be believed, otherwise it is not knowledge. And research generates new knowledge, and knowledge creates development through the technology, because knowledge, without knowledge we cannot make new technology. So these are very important points. Now, you may ask a fundamental question: why new science and technology are needed in this world, modern world? Because thousands of people, they did lots of research, lots of discoveries are around us. We are living in the midst of science. So why further research is necessary? Here I would like to, as an agriculturist and as a biologist, I would like to share a graph. Very simple graph that I prepared based on the data available in the Wikipedia. You can see from the birth of Christ to till now, human population in the earth until 17th century almost static. Why static? Why human population was not increased? Because of so many natural hazards like plague and many other diseases, and storm, cyclone, famine, restricted the human population almost static, less than 1 billion. And do you know how many population is now? 7.3 billion people in this earth. And it is estimated that by 2050, the world population would be 10 billion, nearly 10 billion. So the earth surface is same, resources are same, then how can we survive and we continue our prosperity? This is why we need to generate new knowledge. in the human history, there were two revolutions. One is called Industrial Revolution in Europe after the discovery of engine. Another one in the 19th century, 20th century by the Norman Borlaug, which is called Green Revolution. These two revolutions help us to make human very powerful and over the natural hazards and others, and this is why population is dramatically being increased to 7.3 billion. But the problem associated with this revolution, industrial revolution, brought a new problem, that is global warming, climate change due to fossil fuel burning for running the engine, and green revolution due to use of huge inputs in agriculture, agrochemicals. Environment is badly affected, soil health is deteriorated in our riverine country. Fishes in the river, decreased biodiversity is affected. This is why we need some alternate solution of all these, revolutionary technologies to make the earth habitable, to make the earth, our development sustainable. So research already we discussed a lot. Research means, seeking something. And human mind is very curious, and Albert Einstein, he told that he was not a talented guy, but he understood that he was a passionately curious. So curiosity, human curiosity actually push them and pull them to do research, search, to know something, create work undertaken on a systematic basis in order to increase the stock or mass of knowledge. So research is like that. And purpose of research, the primary purpose of basic research are documentation, discovery, interpretation, or the research and development of methods, systems for advancement of human knowledge. For example, when CRISPR, abnormal sequence was found in 1987 by Ishino in a bacterial, genome, he was surprised. And he didn't understood what is the meaning. And then he noticed that it is a strange phenomena. We observed that in the genome of bacteria, a sequence is repeatedly present. CRISPR, clustered regularly, interspace, short palindromic repeats. The CRISPR term came later on. Then scientists, became very curious to know why it is there. And finally, 1987 to 2012, scientists understood that it is an immune system of bacteria. And once immune system, then scientists already discovered all the knowledge. Then how can we use this immune system for our own benefit? And Jennifer and Emmanuel discovered the gene editing, bringing from the bacterial genome to our real life world. So scientific research, a systematic approach of gathering data, harnessing the curiosity I told you. And in that case, you must pose a question. You must pose a question. For example, Jennifer and Emmanuel pose a question that whether CRISPR-Cas, the immune system of bacteria, can be used as a molecular scissor for editing any DNA. That was a fundamental question, and they did lots of experiments to prove it and develop as a fantastic toolkit for bioediting, and they got the Nobel Prize. So you have to pose a question, collect the data to answer the question, and present the answer the question through scientific publication as they published in Science. And they and after that publication, lots of researchers became curious, and thousands and thousands of publications generated and applied that technology to other areas of biology. So in conducting research, there are some systematic way. I told you, identification of the problem, literature review, see whether this problem already been solved by other researchers or are not. Now we have the databases, PubMed, Google Scholar. You can browse and see whether your problem still remain valid or not, and specify the purpose of the research, determine the specific research question after the review of literature, and then make a conceptual framework and propose a hypothesis, use some standard method to test the hypothesis, do the experiment and collect the data, analyze the data, and then interpret the data, meaning of the data, and report and publish the research paper. And this is the journey of a researcher. And why we publish the research? To communicate with other scientists, because human civilization is based on the scientific discovery of the human. So in all over the world, there are millions of species, but human can store the data, their experiences through different scientific publication, so that other people can start from the next, and we can move forward like this way. So posing a question, and then step by step you can generate get the answer. And scientific question and answer never be solved. When you get the answer, then new question will arrive and it will continue. So scientific methods for addressing any, testing any the hypothesis is very important. And in every science branch of science, there are methods. Method, you can even develop a new method to do by doing a research. Method, known methods are very important, because method saves time. And Aristotle, as regard his method, Aristotle is recognized as the inventor of scientific methods because of his refined analysis of logical implications contained in demonstrative discourse. So another question is reproducibility. Al-Haytham, very famous, scientist, Ibn Al-Haytham, he mentioned that we can consider science and knowledge if it is reproducible. So experimental research must be reproducible by other scientists by using the same method. So scientific question, how can you ask a question? For example, a simple question, why is the sky blue? And if the answer is not known, then you can use some method, systematically test. You can, may hypothesize that after certain distance, we can see everything blue or like that, and you have to prove it. Or how can I design a drug to cure a cancer? Like this type of question you can make. And then gradually, when you start with a question, you may find lots of other questions, what, where, who, how, and answering the question is a process of doing science, doing experiment, discovering new things, and it is never ending. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. That means if you can define a problem, then it is half solved. So now question is philosophy. This is a very, very important because who have doctorate degree here, Dr. Shamim and Dr. Rajaul, Doctor of Philosophy. But when I ask my colleague, what is philosophy? Most of the my colleague who have PhD degree, they say, I am not philosopher, or actually a PhD degree means you are a philosopher. Philosophy is the study of general and fundamental of reality, and it is, the meaning is love of wisdom. So philosophy is very important. For example, nature, existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, language, all the fundamental reality a philosopher can explore. For example, hypothesis, a philosopher can hypothesize for solving a new question. For example, in case of Francis and Crick, they hypothesized that DNA had a helical structure. You know, Watson and Crick, they got the Nobel Prize for their discovery of the double helical structure of DNA. But before their, you know, discovery, they hypothesized that DNA had a double helical structure. And hypothesis may be wrong. Maybe DNA is not a double helical structure, but once they started the research, they may find it a double helical structure. So a hypothesis is an assumption, and it is very prediction, some sort of prediction. And if DNA is a double helical structure, they thought that if we take an X-ray, then X-ray would be X-shaped. You know, Rosalind Franklin, by research, X-ray crystallography, she proved that DNA is X-shaped. So their hypothesis was proved, and they then discovered that the DNA complex structure in 1953, a one-page paper they published in Nature, and they got the Nobel Prize. So external review and publication, already I discussed peer reviewing process when we discover something, whether it is fact or artifact, and whether the statement we are making, they are reasonable or not. You know, unknown reviewer evaluate the papers, the authenticity, the, you know, validity, and whether it is convincing, acceptable or not. Once peer reviewed, then a paper is published in a journal. So publish or perish, this is a statement, old statement. If you do the research, if you have lots of data, and if you do not publish in peer-reviewed journal and not communicated to the other scientists, it is perish, it is garbage, it is meaningless. So data recording and sharing, these are a very important scholarly communication. By using, you know, scientific paper or patent, we can share our publication, you know, to others. Nowadays, a new statement is given by the American Chemical Society called "Be found or perish," not publish or perish. Your you know, discovery must be available to everyone. You know, nowadays, social network, different media, you can share your discovery so that it can be useful by the stakeholders, or it can reach to more you know, researchers, because you know, all the researchers are not reading all the journals. So you can use the open science policy, immediately publish the data to the preprint portal. Nowadays, in case of COVID-19, all the big papers, first immediately they are publishing as preprint in the preprint portal. So writing is a creative, but must follow scientific style, not like a poem or like that. Writing is equally important to doing the science. Most of the scientists in Bangladesh, they are fantastic researchers, but they are not fantastic writers. This is a big, big challenging issue, not only Bangladesh, in other, you know, developing countries. For example, in my university, during IPSA period, Institute of, you know, Postgraduate Studies in Agriculture, hundreds of people did the PhD, but all of their PhD theses are now in the library. They didn't publish the data, so the world is are unknown about their discovery. So it is very important. So during, you know, the research, writing a paper, you should have lots of questions in your mind. Asking question is very, very important. Asking question yourself is very, very important. And these are the questions. For example, why did you do this stuff? Why did you work so hard to get all this data? Why should I read your paper, not another one? Because you have to ask yourself. Then you can make, you know, a valuable paper. Yes, and I'm moving a bit faster. Keep point one, and integrate research and publication plan. Putting together a great paper, there are some points I would like to share with you that I follow. An integrated research or publication plan, a blueprint you need to have. A key point is, that means when you start a research project, you should have in your mind what the outcome would be utilized. Key point two is the outline, blueprint. The story includes a storyline and results. Your mission is introduction, discussion, title and abstract. Have you seen here? That means in my case, I always start from the results. Never start from the title and abstract. Never start from the introduction and discussion. First the result. Result means the money you have, the cash you have. Then you go to the market and do the shopping. If you have no data and if you make lots of introduction and introduce other things, no meaning. So result is should be the starting point, but other person may use other style. So if you have the result, see what results are interlinked to make a single story and remove other results, may be valuable. You can publish other ways. And then your mission, fix your mission, what story you are telling. Then in the introduction, you tell that these information are known, but the results you have, you tell that these things are unknown. Nobody did the research. And then you make the objective based on your research, because you have the already result in your hand. And then you discuss very easily, and then you make a title, and abstract is the conclusion of the your work, and it is very easy to write. An integrated research or publication plan, I think, very secret of publishing a big paper and quickly write a paper. Prepare an outline while doing the experiment. 2 reasons: because you will find out what missing while you cannot still address it experimentally. Because when you start the research later on, during writing, you cannot go back to the experiment. So when you do the experiment, if you have a blueprint of the publication, that is article, then you can understand which data you must need to take. And prepare an outline while doing the experiment. Write outline in your own language, maybe in Bangla, does not matter. Don't bother with polishing the text. So make the story of your own language, even Bangla does not matter, and link small pieces of the thing that you want to address. So the outline consists of storyline. Do some storytelling. Don't simply dump all your data together. This is very important. Most of the paper researchers, they feel that they did lots of experiment, use energy and money, so they dump all the data, even irrelevant data, in a single paper, which is a big burden. List titles and results section, and list titles of figures and tables that correspond to the result section. Warning is, integrating a planning of your paper with doing the research should not mean that you become wedded to your outline. That means when you write, never be fixed. This was the blueprint, but you when you are discussing and getting the citing other literature, you may move freely. Never be wedded and locked. The outline is not set stone, and should of course be revised as new data are emerging. So you can do it the boring way. Avoid the most boring way is usually the most historical way, telling the experiment in order they were performed. So you have to avoid the boring way. Make the story lucid, so that the literature, for example, Humayun Ahmed's story, if you start, you cannot stop yourself. Even a good poem, if you start, you cannot stop. So your article should be like that. Most papers do not follow the historical way. You must understand it. This is why Nobel Prize winner Peter Medawar said that the scientific paper is a fraud. So never be wedded. Scientific research is unpredictable by nature. So another somewhat boring way is to frame the paper around some generalities. For example, Rx, LR effectors are important. For example, you are telling rice is very important crop in Bangladesh. It is the most important crop for getting the calorie, or like this. Never tell like this way. Tell the story like this way. Blast is a serious problem of rice cultivation of the farmers. That is, you told the story, question, and then tell what is known in blast and what is unknown, and tell the story what you discovered. That then people will follow you. The idea is to frame your paper in a way that is interesting, exciting to people outside your field also. Target the broadest possible audience, but never make it popular. Broadest audience, but it should have in-depth. So this needs some experience. Start with a biological question or with a problem. Define what is unknown. This is most important. Then explain how your research findings are contributing new information to this question or problem. This is the first step in putting together a great paper. If you can follow this, and it must be a great paper. Why did you do it? What did you find? That this has to be crystal clear in your mind when you are writing your paper. And think out of the box. This is most important. Think out of the box. Never think orthodox way, which general people are thinking, otherwise you cannot discover something big. For example, most of the people from 1987 to 2012, they worked on CRISPR and to understand what is its function in the bacteria, and they published hundreds of papers and confirmed that it is an immune system of bacteria. But Emmanuel and Jennifer, they thought out of the box. They didn't consider the bacteria. They brought it whether it can be used in our case to edit our DNA where mutation is taken place and we are suffering for cancer or like that way. This is called out of the box thinking. So important, tell a story, write a storyline. In your Bangla, you can do it. I am not going in details of this one. How can you start a story? For example, you can ask a question, do they localize to subcellular compartments and alter immunity? Then you tell, we performed the experiment, such experiment, and we found that our finding indicate that similar to bacterial pathogen, oomycetes secrete effectors that modulate host transcription to alter innate immunity. That means you made a new, addition of knowledge. In case of bacterial pathogen, people before knew that the effector's role, but in oomycetes, you first experimentally proved it. So linking to the old findings and then tell the your novelty of your work is very important. And obviously remember this great statement, less is more. Less is more. Never tell all the story. Never make clumsy. Never write too much. Focus your novelty. Focus your important findings. So final, your objective is to generate and prepare final figures and table. First step, the mission when you start writing a paper, and then publication quality, you have to check the target journal whether your final figures and table are standard or not, and follow the instruction to the journals or not, and never make it messy, crappy, please, and learn from the best. So read many papers, and then you can find the best one, and you can make your own stuff like that way, so that it would be very attractive. You must do statistical analysis if needed. Otherwise, only scientist, reviewer will ask the question. Result must describe. This is very important. Result must be described in simple past tense. This is very important. Never passive. Tell the result simple past tense and straight way. And tell the new findings first. For example, this is a qualitative data. When you show qualitative data, some symptoms and other thing, you need to add the quantitative data with the statistics, because here you can be biased. So you can show the most important, visible symptoms, but here is the real data, and you need to do both together. and then result paragraph, a template. You need to, first sentence usually starts with, to do this, we did this experiment, or like that. So tell the story type, storytelling type, and mention your most important finding first in the result. Mention your most important finding, and then secondary finding, and then the control. But in most cases in Bangladesh, people do in control, this is the finding, and then the real new finding is hidden. Last sentence is often a conclusion. Our result indicate that no cakes accumulate in plant nuclei. This is very interesting. And in introduction, when you go to the introduction after the result section, you can go to the introduction. In introduction, you introduce and ask the question and tell the audience that the result you have, why you achieve the result. You tell this experiment is very valuable and is unknown, necessary to do, and then set the objective. So assign topics each paragraph, and for most journals 4 to 6 paragraph only. The introduction it never be very big. First paragraph state the biological question, the problem, the unknown, and you have the known answer in the result already you have. Last paragraph summarize the study, highlight the finding, usually has the sentence in this study what you did, or like that. And background information should be clever. All the work presented in the result, you should be clever, because in the background study you coined or you introduced the author the unknown things important to do, and you showed you rationally and logic why this research is necessary, but you have the data in your hand, so you can move very fast. So a useful tip just for you, when you finish outlining the introduction, go back to the result section by section to make sure that each topic was sufficiently introduced in the introduction section or not. And if not, then again come back to the introduction section and then rewrite it. And here you cover how your finding relate to previous knowledge in the discussion, and implications of your findings, opportunity to establish intellectual leadership in the field by pointing to future directions and possibilities raised by your finding. This is why discussion section is the most important, and we can estimate a researcher how powerful is he or she based on the discussion. This is the Nature paper. Please go through this paper. Very short paper, won the Nobel Prize, but if I read it 100 times, and it is an amazingly concisely written paper, and discussion was amazingly perspectiveful, and which opened a new area of research. Title should be informative. Most people will only read the title. So title should be, the whole findings should be in the title. It is should be an active title, not effect on, influence on, or studies of. Never write a vague title. Avoid vague title. Informative and boring titles like functional characterization of like this of Phytophthora. Useful titles should communicate the main finding, like Phytophthora infestans gene X contributes to virulence by doing that particular nasty thing to potato. You see, all the findings are there. So you should be very attractive, then people will go through your paper. Otherwise, it would not be written by other people. Abstract is go through your text and highlight the key sentence in red. Why, what, how. These answers should be present in the abstract. If you cannot find any, you are in deep doo-doo. You have to get the answer of these in your paper. Copy and paste this statement, separate them by hard returns, and organize into a coherent order, logically sequence, and improve the flow. And this is your abstract, not so tough. And if you can do other job, make sure you do not don't miss anything important in writing in the abstract. And final statement is writing skill. Read and read. And when you think you are done, read some more and one paper a day keeps the supervisor away. One paper a day keeps the supervisor away. This habit you have to develop. And why is it critical? Because your paper is publishing up on previous body of literature and hopefully adding something. So you better have a perfect knowledge of the literature, what is known. Then you can say what is new you are claiming. Reading tremendously improves your writing skill, and writing skill is very, very important for a good researcher. Good writing skill are things you learn and develop. Get a style book, read literature critically, and read good stuff, good newspaper also, like Daily Star you can read, science article, or the New York Times, Washington Post, or like this. New York Times really a fantastic, daily. The science articles are written in a very easy way. Easy way writing is not easy. Even our great poet, Rabindranath Tagore, Nobel laureate, he says, "Sohoj kotha jay na bola sohoje." Actually, when you write science, the most important problem is you cannot write it easily in easy language. So I am looking for your good article, and obviously remember, clarity is the key, not a mystery. Novel, less is more. Dr. Razaul told, when you write a paper, show it to your collaborator, co-authors, even your friend, and they can make some question, and because this is very important. And these are the points. I think plagiarism, you can do some plagiarism in the materials and method, but in other part you cannot make plagiarism. Write a first draft and then edit it. First draft may be full of plagiarism, maybe poor language, even you can use Bangla to make the story and gradually improve it, and delete it and edit it, edit some more, and take help from your friend. And obviously you must remember that result should always be simple past tense. For example, we hybridized plot X to the southern blot, or like that. Published knowledge should always be in present tense, and avoid passive voice. Like passive voice is like a plague, and it is a big problem. For example, it was not expected that, or like that. Say, we did not expect that, like this way. So what is difference between a diplomat and an editor? A diplomat says yes when they mean maybe when they mean no, and never says no. Diplomat never says no, but editor always say very cruelly. The editor says no when they mean maybe when they mean yes, and never says yes. They will say yes when accept your paper. So editor's language, you have to ability to absorb the tough language of the editor. Dealing with editor is not easy. You have to be mentally ready to get the rejection letter from any journal, and rejection is not uncommon. Even Nobel laureate can get the rejection letter, and rejection can be challenged if reviewer or editor misunderstood your one. Reviewers are not your enemy, but address the reviewers very seriously, very politely, and with high respect and logical argument. Never be aggressive when you are dealing with the editor. And happy writing, I am expecting happy writing and publishing. I look forward to reading your papers, and I will probably just read the titles and remember, read, and read. And this is the guy, Sufyan Kamaun. I learned so many things from him, how to write a paper. Once he published, more than 12 papers in Nature in a year. And this guy, another Yuan Chao from China, he invited Sufyan in a meeting, and all the people asked Sufyan, what is the secret of your writing? And he, some of the thought I shared with you. And Sufyan is a fantastic collaborator. We are collaborating still now, and our researcher Nuruddin Mahmood worked with him for 4 months, and amazing scientist and amazing writer. I salute him. And obviously, please read some of his papers. And these are the story from my side. And now it is open for some more question. And after that, we shall close the session. And everything is recorded. So I shall upload the video to the, YouTube, and you can even listen later on. I am really impressed to see all of you in the presentation. Still, 30 people are here. Thank you so much. Now, floor is for you. Ask me question as much as tough for me.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Shamim again, yes, please. Make comment and share your experience, because you also published a paper in very high ranked journal, and I had opportunity to read Shamim's one paper when he was a candidate for DAAD scholarship, because I was an evaluator, and I had to read that very fantastic signaling related paper. Shamim, please ask question or make comment, whatever you like.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it was a fantastic opportunity to learn. I mean, we passed a couple of hours already, but I didn't realize it actually. So it was very nice. It's amazing talk that we are hearing from you, and we are very lucky to be here with you. So I have many questions, but maybe I can start with one little bit different thing that I have seen, what I have seen in my group leader before, that when he wrote a paragraph, for example, so it's completely novel, and I do not see anywhere in any publication like this. So like a novel thinking and novel creation, something like this, that I'm missing, always I miss in me. So how is that happen actually?
Yeah, this is happening, over the years. He dedicated himself and in the subject. And over the years of a journey, you can, if you, for example, Columbus started journey from Spain to discover the America. You know how long journey was that? Even Charles Darwin, he has a very long journey, and at the end of the journey, he wrote a book, The Origin of the Species, because he spent 5 years and lots of people in his ship, they were died, and horrible experience people faced, but he discovered lots of things, so new things. So if you want to make the original thinking, original writing skill, obviously you need to longer your journey and be passionate, dedicate, and deeply concentrate in your subject. And you have to be how to say, detach other world, because your supervisor, I guess, he is working on a very narrow area for a long time. So the distance he traveled, you are not yet there. This is why his thinking is you cannot see there. This is why his one is noble. But it is not necessarily that you have to travel so far and then you would be the mature scientist. But if you are a very good reader, regular reader, for example, for me, I have been a regular reader of Science and Nature since 1997. This is why if you give me some data, within a few hours I can make the story.
Yes, sir. Sir, I would like to make a comments on, I think someone was asking about the plagiarism and things like that, how to avoid it. So I would like to share a few words. I made a recent draft on my article that I did for my PhD thesis. So what I realized that at the finishing of the draft, I found that it was around more than 20% plagiarized text. So, and then I was really unhappy on me that how do I handle it? Even though I tried to brush it, polish it, what happened is mostly the text was from our published literature actually, because this was very focused area. So I used one of the, I think, mostly used plagiarism detector. It's called, I think, Turnitin software to detect where the main problems. And what happened? So one sentence, I tried 3-4 different formats to change it. So when I am changing it to another format, it's also detected, and then it shows another paper. When I'm changing to another format, then it's also showing that it's related to another paper. So changing a few clauses, it took me really very long time, but afterwards it happened. So as you said, we need to try and polish and polish. So and obviously it will improve the quality.
Thank you so much. Very valuable comment. Any question, Shamim?
Yes, sir. So writing the title, sometimes I find a little bit difficult. So people are selling their stories with a very attractive title and very short, let's say 1 sentence or 1.5 line. And it's very attractive. So how can we actually make such kind of attractive titles, sir?
For example, I can tell you one of our title. When we worked to determine the genetic identity and origin of the wheat blast, and I proposed lots of title. But Sufyan wrote, emergence of wheat blast in Bangladesh is caused by a lineage of South American Magna Porteurizzi. That means nothing left. All the discoveries are in the title. Simple sentence.
Yes, sir.
So if you clearly understand the key findings, solid new discoveries in your paper, just tell that one in a small sentence. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I received lots of comments. People asked me to offer the PowerPoint presentation. It is open. I am a worker of open science and open data sharing. Whatever with me, you can freely ask me to have it, because I want to see you much more powerful than me. Because during your age, I had no opportunity to get interaction with a scientist, or interacting in a topic like the art of writing science. So we want to see you incredibly powerful. So whatever we have, we should invest to you. So I shall offer you the PowerPoint slide, so you can use it at any purpose. And no copyright here. And I told you that YouTube, that lecture will be uploaded to the YouTube, so anybody from anywhere can enjoy it anytime. In my all classroom lectures online, all are in my YouTube channel, and I found that some of them 3,000 views. That means my student here only 30 or like that, but all over the world people are browsing and getting it. And this is the real fun, and I think real meaning of doing something for the community by a researcher or a teacher. So I am expecting some more question from the other participants also. Please ask freely.
So may I speak now?
Sure.
So
Dr. Rajaottoli,
thank
still
you.
you are.
Thank you once again for Yeah, I'm here. But I took a break 2 times for Asr prayer and Maghrib prayer.
Okay,
So
okay.
it was a short break, so no
Okay.
problem. So I was all through your lectures, and it was a real pleasure to be part of this workshop. And no, I would say your students are very lucky that, and I wish I would be a student again. Because this is now the
Oh, no,
age
no.
of technology.
You are my
Uh,
fantastic collaborator. I have lots of
anyway,
things to know from
so yeah, so the to be very honest, the impact factor and high impact journal, these things was unknown for most of the Bangladeshi scientists. In 10 years, we became familiar with these words. When I went for my PhD, then I became to know what is impact factor and what is the necessity of publishing your paper in good journal, reputed journal. So now, really, things are very important to consider, as you mentioned in your talk, that most of the research in Bangladesh, they are not published because they are doing research blindly. So before starting their research, they are not making any plan of it is whether they will go for publication, or for the sake of doing research, they are doing research. This this is the common scenario. But I hope the situation will improve, and the young, especially the young researcher, young students, young scientists, they are very updated. They are very powerful, as you say. And I must say, there is a famous. Uh, I read somewhere that what Bengals today thinks today, India thinks tomorrow. So we should be, always a step way forward. We should always think out of box, and we should, we should chase our dream. I had an experience of listening your talk with a journalist of Haji Muhammad Danesh Agricultural Science and Technology University. You remember you had a talk and you shared your experience that you received. You sent a letter to to some professor in Japan, and you received a response from some years, like 3 or 4 years, as far as I remember. So everybody should learn from you. They should not, left chasing their dream. I think everybody will learn, and everybody will grasp something from your talk today. And good luck to everybody. And thank you. Really, it was a real pleasure. And I will download your video again, and I will keep it in my record. Thank you so much.
Excellent, excellent, Dr. Rajaul. It is true. I wrote a professor, Japanese professor, of Hokkaido University. But he said he's busy as he's dean of the Faculty of Agriculture. He cannot accept a student from a foreign country or like that. But after 3 years, exactly after 3 years, he told 3 years he will be very busy, but after 3 years he can accept. Exactly after 3 years, I wrote him again, and he became so emotional. And he sent me a fax and mail, and he said, whatever I have the capacity, I must accept you because you have been waiting for 3 years for me. And I have been in Japan with him for 7 years, and every lecture he told this story. He started his talk like that way. So chasing the dream, as you mentioned, is very important. Here some of my team members like Shabab Mahbub, when he was a third-year student of East West University, he started research with me and published paper in international journal. And some of the third-year students, they are also doing research with us. So if you have a dream, clear-cut dream, and if you really chase it, support will come from the society, obviously. And Dr. Rajaul nicely mentioned that in our country, you know, writing paper is a really tough job, a boring job. And you know, most of the scientists, they are not doing planning before doing the research. Even in the university also, publishing paper just for the promotion or like that in the local journal, it is easy, or predatory journal. But I advise all of you, never publish your paper in a predatory journal. Predatory journal means nowadays, due to, you know, internet and digital technologies, some companies or you know, unscrupulous people, dishonest people, they are doing business. $50 if you pay, immediately they will publish your paper, and they are not included in the global mass of knowledge, for example ISI or Scopus or good databases, PubMed. They never consider as a paper. So if in your CV such predatory journals paper is included, it is discredit. So be careful. You know, in the internet, we even social network, we receive lots of bad stuffs also, but there are very valuable stuffs also there. So you have to be very smart and, you know, careful. And I hope our young generation, they are smarter than us, and they can be careful about it. Thank you, Dr. Rajaul. And I am maybe I am receiving lots of questions. Any more question, please ask directly by unmuting yourself.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, my question is about reading science, not the writing. What should be the sequence to read a scientific article or review article? How I should read a scientific article? Like, should I read it sequentially, introduction, then material or methods, discussion, result, and conclusion, or any other way? Like, first I should read the discussion, then start from the introduction.
In my case, I told you, my style is different, and I discussed with many other big guys. They also follow like this. For example, in case of research article, actually I make the blueprint of publication before starting the research, as Dr. Rajaul mentioned, and collect the data and check. After having the data, then I carefully prepare the figures and tables and see what are logically linked to make a story. So I start writing the result section first in simple past tense, and then write the introduction. After introduction, then I move to the discussion, and then materials and methods is no problem, because the methods you used, you can write those not so intellectual practice is necessary over there, and then you write the abstract, and finally you write the title.
Sir, writing reading কিভাবে স্যার পড়বো?
In case of reading, what I do, I read first the title. If title is attractive, a title force me to read, then I read the abstract. And once I read the abstract, I move to the discussion, because that part is very valuable for me, because I can understand the insight of the findings or like that. So in a paper, title, objectives, and conclusion, they should be logically linked. You cannot go beyond your result. You cannot make some conclusion based on other results or imaginary something like a poet or like that. So reading a paper, you can first title and then the abstract. And if it is interesting, then you move towards and read the paper as many times as you like.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ghulam Mahbub Soysal, thank you so much. Next.
Sir.
Yes, Abdullah.
Sir, thank you for
Asaduzzaman, yes.
Sir, thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to ask, like, when we are writing an abstract, so what are the things, like, because you said that abstract is the first thing, after reading the title, if you feel the title is good enough, you then read the abstract. So if I'm looking at the majority of the scientists, they basically do the same. So sir, my thing is, what are the things that we need to add in the abstract? Like,
excellent. I understood your point. In abstract, first sentence, you can introduce the topic. For example, coronavirus is a disaster for the human being worldwide. For example, like that. And then you say the aim of the present work or the objective of the present work, whatever you targeted, and then tell the key findings, not all the general things, key novel findings logically tell, and finally make a concluding sentence. Our findings suggest that coronavirus is transported by the air or like that. So abstract should be like that. In some cases, after the aim, you or during a discussion, result or findings, you may mention by using scanning electron electron microscopy, we observe this thing. That means the method also comes with the result. How you obtain the result, methodology, in a tricky way, you can integrate so that separately you do not need to write the methodology, because in some journals 150 words, in some journal 200 words. So you have to tell all the things within the word limit. It should be a complete story. Abstract is a complete story. Title is a complete story, I think. I'll do one sentence.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Excellent question. Any more?
Sir, I have a little bit point on the abstract that we discussed.
Dr. Shamim.
So sometimes, sir, we see citation in the abstract, but normally they feel that you are working or I am working, we don't see it, but sometimes I see in other field, there is a citation in the abstract. To what extent it is using there, sir?
Citation abstract, it is unusual, not the general. In few journals, maybe it is the practice, but generally abstract citation is not included. Citation, the best place is introduction, even methods you can cite. Result section, no need to add any citation, but discussion citation is obviously important. But in some journal, we found in case of result, when telling the result in a story way, one sentence they use with a citation because previous finding, and then they address, we tested these things and our result is like that or like this. But result abstract, usually even conclusion, usually free from the citation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any more question? I found someone joined from Khulna University. Sheikh Sadiul Islam Tanvir. Can you listen me? Okay. Anyone, please, if you have question, please ask me.
I have a last. Okay.
Amim.
So I can say it later, sir, the last point.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, আমি আপনার ইউটিউব চ্যানেলটা জানতে চাচ্ছিলাম নাম আপনার লেকচার গুলো শোনার জন্য।
Tofazzal Islam, that's all. If you browse YouTube Tofazzal Islam, you can find my channel.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Any more? Any question? I am very much impressed because 30 people participated and it was very interactive. And I'm expecting some more question from younger student who have even not yet started the research.
So if you permit me, I can share my experience.
Sure.
That will be helpful for your graduate
experience would be
students.
valuable for others.
Yeah, it will be very, helpful for the graduate students. Yeah, this is based on my real experience. So when I was a PhD candidate in China Agricultural University, so there are a lot of fields where you can do your research in quick time. For example, in email, especially in animal sciences. But in crop science, I was doing research and I submitted one original research article. And I was waiting for the acceptance because it was mandatory for my graduation. So yeah, so by this time I completed writing my thesis and I submitted it. But you know, when the rejection letter came, I was really shocked because that was my the defense date was knocking at the door. So and my supervisor, they decided I could attend the defense, but they will not offer me degree. When the paper will be accepted, and then only they will offer me degree. So I was in tension. So why I'm telling this? Because everybody should be prepared for rejection. And you mentioned this thing in your talk that the reviewers, they are busy, they are voluntary researchers, they are they don't know you are waiting for your thesis defense. So you need to be prepared. And finally, you know, my defense was over, and the next day my exception, within that time I comply with some comments, and I wrote again to the editor to revive my paper because they made some comments. So I wrote them later, and they activated the system again for me. And then I did the major change in my article, and I got it got
So finally it was
published,
accepted,
and
right?
I came with my degree and certificate. Yeah, it was my defense. So
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah.
I think it is a very nice experience. Any more
Yeah.
question?
So thank you.
Thank you so much. Any more question? No? You may ask question, whatever in your mind.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your valuable presentation. We have found much knowledge. Basically, we are not started our journey in research, although we are completing my MS under your supervision. My question is, after submitting the paper to a journal, unfortunately, if the paper is rejected, are the reviewer told us what is the cause for the paper is rejected?
Yes, I got your point. There are two things happen. First, you know, editor evaluates your paper whether it should be sent for the review or not, because they are very busy guys. So if editor finds it not suitable, then he may send you back and reject it straight away. And if editor finds it suitable for the journal, and it is a valuable information, then send for the peer review, maybe 2 reviewers or 3 reviewers. And in that case, reviewers obviously critically assess your evaluate your manuscript unbiasedly, and there is lots of question and what is the strength, and all the explanation why it should be accepted, why it should be rejected. So there is a report from every reviewer, and editor, whether it is accepted or rejected, editor obviously share with the authors, corresponding authors. So you will obviously know it, and if there is a weakness, you can revise it and submit for other journals. Sometimes revision is suggested, or like this, a major revision or minor revision, or directly rejected. So in that case, you will understand what is the weaknesses of your paper, why it is rejected, and then you can target another journal which fits well with your paper. Any more? Then Shamim, final comment, and we shall close the session.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I have a small request. I am a little bit eager to attend a session, or let's say I can also organize a separate meeting with you. I would like to be in a discussion of how to prepare a project proposal for funding, for example. This is for early stage researchers. This is very important. So if you have any opportunity, or if you have any plan to make a session like this, I would be very interested about it.
It is excellent. Nadia Afroz, you have another job, how to write a research proposal. This is really, really very important, and I advised our Vice Chancellor to train our young faculties, assistant professor and lecturers on this area, because just seeing other research proposal, you cannot make a fantastic and competitive proposal for hunting grant. So it needs some training. Our university Vice Chancellor decided and invited me to offer training for the young faculty members maybe next week. I have to find a day. But Dr. Shamim, I am very much, inspired by your proposal. And Nadia, please communicate with Shamim. Maybe, is it possible for you to, give a training? Shamim?
Sir, first I would like to have some experience. I would like to.
Yes, your experience, if you share, because you prepared a proposal for DAAD scholarship, which is very comprehensive. DAAD scholarship is not like other scholarship. So the researcher must need to present the proposal in a way he knows everything. So I was so impressed by Shamim's presentation, and he won the scholarship. If you can share, because young people can easily understand your language better than me, because I am now fighting with big donors to get the big funds. My language is a bit changed. But anyway, I shall obviously participate with you if you join with me. And Nadia Afroz, you can set a date for such a valuable workshop on how to write a grant-winning research proposal.
Sir, my request was, because at the stage I am fighting to get, let's say, fund, like to provide a PhD student to get a fund to work for 3 years or something like this. So, and this is I found it very competitive and very difficult for a postdoc, for example. So we have a German research ministry and different wings from where we can try, but still I am struggling myself. So I was thinking to get some advice from you, basically.
Okay, I shall deliver detailed a lecture with all of my experiences, some model projects, winning projects I can share with the young people, so that you can use them as the template for making your own one. Great idea. So we may invite some more young people, because in Zoom lecture, if number is bigger, no problem, and it would impact more.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Is the last chance, last minute, if you have any question, then you can ask. Otherwise, I shall end the lecture. Okay, then thank you so much, all the participants, Dr. Rajaul, Dr. Shamim, and even I found Momin from Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, and many organizations, young scholars, those who have participated and stayed with us for a long time. I am very much thankful for making this program very successful. Within a short notice, we announce this program. Hopefully next time when Nadia Afroz announce the program, she will announce it publicly in a way so that before several days before the program date, and it would be very easy for you to make the schedule. I wish all of you safe stay amid COVID-19 pandemic, and I wish you success in your passion towards research, and I am expecting to read someday your paper, either scientific research article or review article. And whenever you find any problem in writing a paper, obviously talk with me. Best idea is please visit our ResearchGate or our university website, or browse my name. You can find some of my papers and you can read those papers. Maybe you can find lots of reflection what I told today. And obviously for the young people, my door is always open, and I wish you all the best and want to see you, very powerful researcher like Dr. Shamim and Dr. Rajaul. They are working at international level. And I want to see more. We need at least 1,000 brilliant researchers in Bangladesh to uphold the image of our country in contributing the global mass of knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you.